Welcome back, MTG Joe here, and we are touching base for another weekly meta breakdown. What are the best performing decks for the week of October 10th to 17th, 2021? Felt like we need to include that, but what we do here is take a look at a bunch of tracked data from Untapped GG. It is a free companion tool that runs alongside Arena, tracks all your games, win rates, stuff like that. Then it aggregates all that data for all the players that are contributing. It's free to use, like I mentioned, if you do want to get joined in. The link is in the video description down below. If you follow the link, just lets them know that I sent you there. Helps out the channel as well for free. But as always, what we do is we look at standard best of one, best of three, historic best of one, best of three. This is post-ban. So we'll start getting some data in, but it's still a little bit too early, just based on volume of games, to really see what the memory lapse ban and Tibalt's Trickery ban did. As well as we have the roundup of the Red Bull Untapped tournament. This was a 1,500 player, $20,000 tournament. So I did cover in great detail day one results with win rate matrices, stuff like that. It's in a separate video. You can find it in the standard playlist. So if you do want to get more detail there, check it out there. But jumping into it, we are looking at standard best of one, platinum to mythic ranked tracked games, sample size of 350,000 games. What we would like to do with this is look at larger sample sizes to get better ideas, as opposed to, you know, I went 5-1 with this on the ladder, this must be broken. And what we're seeing is mono white aggro, top deck of the week. This is going back to the Cast 2 version. I personally, and the deck I've liked the most is the Exile based aggro version. But this one is the one playing Monk of the Open Hand, Code Spell Cleric, as well as Clarion Spirit. Notably, this one's playing one Grandmaster Flowers in addition. And then this is the Paladin class version as well. We're seeing mono green aggro. I think just the innovation, what we're seeing this week, and a lot of the discs are going to unnatural growth. This helps in the Mirror Breaker, just makes your things larger, as well as against the Is It Stragons list, which we're seeing an increase as well. It makes it harder for them to kill with burn-based damage. They can't kill it in combat, so it gets a little bit harder that way there. We're seeing the Is It Dragons list from Worlds that won everything. So it's got the Smoldering Egg Goldspan Dragon version. You can usually tell it's the Worlds one because they play one Dissipate. Only 2 Divide by Zeros, so less tempo plays, but it does have stuff like Thundering Rebuke to deal with the 4 toughness creatures that you normally see out of mono green. Is this one on Cinderclasm at all? No Cinderclasm. So that's one thing to consider. Some of the Is It Control decks, the like Galvanic Iteration versions, were playing Cinderclasms to deal with the mono white decks. A deck I personally have had no success with, but seems to be putting up results, is the Roctos Control deck. It's basically your Roctos Treasure Snow deck. You're playing up to Blood on the Snow, top end on Goldspan Dragon. Immersed Predator is a really effective threat in this format, especially if you can have kind of fodder to get rid of it. Only one Lulth seems kind of low. Lulth seems like just a beating against a lot of the mono white aggro decks. A card I really enjoy. Another deck I'm surprised to be seeing doing well this week is the Symmic ramp deck. Generally, I found playing this deck with the Cyclonic Summoner is mono white tend to be a bit of a trouble with the attack style effects. Notably, this has to be cast from hand. So if they hit it with Spellbinder, you don't get the bounce effect. In addition, a lot of the lists now, especially against Control, they're playing either Divide by Zero or Fading Hope, both of which can bounce Coma as well. So it's not like once it was like you drop a Coma and then Control cries. But you're seeing like just the ramp package here. Notably as well, they aren't playing Innkeeper for the life gain. They're on one Chariot in this version, and they are field tripping for the... They're not even on Divide by Zero. So they've opted to go field trip over Divide by Zero. So even less interaction. So they're really much focusing on the Cyclone Summoner and trying to go from there. Apologies, got an eyelash. We're seeing the Exorius Tempo list. This was another deck list from Worlds, kind of playing the in-between role of counterspells, bounce, and then an efficient mono white clock. Another kind of mashup, we have some of the effects of the Draw 2 deck, or the Cast 2 deck, some Adelines, Azorius Control, decent deck still in the format. Devious cover-up loops. This is not a Lier version, but it does have the All Rins Turned package. Some Angels, mono green, mono black, mono red goblins, surprisingly. Any new tech? Enters a battlefield, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. When it enters a battle, whenever it attacks, it gets for each party member. So you have some wizards, you have some warriors. So it just gets some boost up there. Oh, this is actually a rogue, so it can get up to +3. So that's an interesting. You're also seeing Goblin Morningstar as just another way to give trample afterwards if you get a large threat. If you have something like this with the pump. They're not playing the 3/1 first strike, which is interesting. So this is a different take on Goblin, something maybe to try out. You see humans come in as well as then some Vamp Party and Gruul Werewolves kind of wrapping it up. Good sample size even for Roctos Control. Vamp Party, this was probably the version Crokies was playing. Seeing some good results from that. So a lot of decks in best of one actually. Seeing some good variation here. If we quickly look just to see what the top mythic decks are, it is mono white. So this is the version I'm playing. I think this is the best version. I've had the most success with this. Play 23 lands. I'm like 52 and 17 with it. Very similar version of the list. You have the Stompy deck, Vamp Party, and then the Teamer. It's basically red-green, splash negate. So you're seeing a lot more diversity in the lower ranks, but in Mythic, mono white still tends to be the best choice, it seems. Best of 3. We are looking same range, 40,000 matches as compared to 350,000. Best of 1 continues to be the more popular option. We're seeing aggro decks continue to be successful. This version of mono green, notably, it's got the Lotus Cobras over the Sculptor of Winters, the 2-mana untap snow permanent. So a little bit more explosive in terms of playing spells for that turn, but not as consistent with ramping. I generally prefer Sculptor for consistency purposes in a format without like searching for extra lands, stuff like that. We're also seeing a natural growth in this version here. No interesting sideboard tech. You're seeing some Devouring Tendrils to play with the Tajuru Blightblade against the creature mirrors. And you're also seeing Choose Your Weapon as a way to deal with flyers, but also as a combo piece to double target creatures' power. We're seeing mono white aggro. This is kind of more of a weenie version with paladin classes. You're seeing the disruption in the sideboard, so more linear version. And then you're seeing the version with Maul. I really like Maul in the format. You have like a little bit more flexibility in this version here, I think. So this is the Sculptor of Winter version. No endurance in the main board. We are seeing Tovolar's Huntmaster. Interested to know what that comes in for. Stompy, we see Werewolves with the blue splash, so Wet Gruul. Nothing super unique about these. I like to just see like what the innovation is week for week at this point. Like we know what kind of the top decks are, but how are they adapting? What are they putting in? Azorius Tempo, the list that we saw. Is it Dragons? It's the first Is It deck that we're seeing. So we're seeing the Dragons decks. So this version is seeing a lot more play than this particular version, but higher win rate. If we look quickly at the variations, negate, dissipate, divide by 0, 2, 4, 7. Main board's the same. What is the difference? Mascot. Oh, 2 Test of Talents. No Prismari Command. 3 Burning Hands. Same Fading Hope. So they're really just playing the extra copy of Test of Talents, and that somehow is generating a larger win rate. So they're pretty much the identical deck. So you're hovering probably around like close to 60% win rate. The mono black control list, it's fine. It beats up on the creature decks, at least mono white, but has a harder time against the Is It decks, the turns decks. You're seeing kind of like these go. An Orzhov Angels list, not really particular Angels, kind of like Hate Bear or Aggro. Interesting take on this one. Haven't played it personally, so can't offer much. I found this card to be absolutely awful though. Like you're playing it as a 1-mana 2/1, but it comes in tapped the turn you play it, so it doesn't even block profitably on turn 1. Stop playing Dimir Control. Every stats I see, it's always sub 50%. This is the Lier Xanathar version, but it seems to like just not win against anything. So hopping over to Historic Best of One, where we saw the ban in both Memory Lapse and Tybalt's Trickery. There was enough games here that we can look from October 14th to the 17th, which gave us 25,000 games, and we're seeing Platinum to Mythic. Elves is at 73% win rate, 74% with the rounding. This is notably a version without Freyalise in it, the 3-mana Planeswalker from Jumpstart. This deck, Elves sucked really hard against Tybalt's Trickery because it couldn't do anything and it just died on the board. So we're seeing that kind of come back down to earth. Mono White Humans has a good matchup against the control decks. Nothing too innovative here. Seeing one Brutal Cathar in addition. You have your package with the Ranger Captain of all the 1-drops that go fetch up. Same idea here. This version's without a Brutal Cathar. It's just playing the 4th. Auras, kind of an established deck. This version's a little bit heavier on creatures, which is interesting. Seeing 17. Some lists play like as low as like 10. But 17 here, some Adontos, Hushbringers in the mix. We have the Mono Red Aggro deck. So with Mono Red and Historic, there's kind of like 2 versions. There's the all-in kind of Reckless Ringleader, give your stuff haste, Embercleave version with the Vortex, and then there's the Burn version. You see like a Freyalise version here, doing a little bit worse at 59% compared to the 75. Coco Humans, basically Mono Green Humans with Collected Company. We have the Mono Red Madness deck. The Orzhov Zombies deck, we played this the other day. This deck's really cool. It's kind of like a combo kill deck. There's a video up on that if you want to see. We played in best of 3, but you can get a feel for what's going on there. The burn decks aren't doing as well, and we're seeing, looks like they're trying to do the, not enough for the win rate yet, but the Book of Exalted Deeds combo in like a life gain shell. Curious to just see what's happening in Mythic, if we have enough of a population yet. 4,200 games. Yeah, we don't have enough sample data. So we'll probably have a better idea come next week what the post-ban environment looks like. Similarly with the Historic Best of 3, I can't pull the population yet. It's too low in terms of data count. So going back basically a month, we have 68,000 games. I'm actually going to just refine this a bit because we get to see more of what's happening. Well, we see Jund Food being a pretty high win rate. The notable thing they added here is Ravenous Squirrels. This version is also playing one of Warlock class. Since you loop the cat each turn, it gets an extra point of damage in. With the ban of Memory Lapse, I could see going up to like a 3rd Claim the Firstborn for all the creature decks. We see Mono White Humans, Coco Human Company, a couple different versions here, Sigarda and non-Sigarda versions. You see the Madness decks. Zombies around 63%, 5-color Niv. We get like 2-mana 5/5 with Kavu. Get to search up a bunch of things. Lots of flexible answers here, but your mana base is kind of pushing the limits here. You're playing a lot of tap lands in this particular version. Just a very painful mana base. If we take a look, just seeing diamond-wise, Zombies was like one of the better performing decks. This deck was a lot of fun. You have your company decks, as well as Is It Phoenix? You play like the DRC package. Now you have Consider to add to this version as well. Unholy Heat's just a great card there. Yeah, so that's Historic, kind of wrapping that. And then for the Red Bull tournament, we are pretty much just wrapping it up. It's like a European overnight. So if we're looking at the top decks, 3 of the top 4 are mono green right now. We have an Izzet's Dragon, a couple of the Temur Treasure decks, which is basically Gruul counterspells, and then 1 mono white aggro sneaking in. Just a lot of mono green aggro at the top tables. If we really look, like 1 Izzet Epiphany snuck through. There's the Jund Treasure deck, which was an interesting one, kind of Temur Treasures minus the blue plus the black for discard. Yeah, if you're interested in this tournament, I go into a lot more detail with win rates for like the day 1 results. This is through MTG Melee, so this was a $20,000 tournament. There's 1,400 and I think 65 players, almost 1,500 players registered. To check that out. 12:35, so it dropped maybe for day 2, not too sure. but they were showing 1465 yesterday. So yeah, that's it. That's what we are looking at. Mono white, best of 1 for standard. Mono green or mono white, best of 2 for standard, or best of 3 for standard. Elves looking really good in best of 1's historic, and best of 3 historic is play a deck you're comfortable with. Food, humans, Jeskai is probably still a very reasonable deck at this point here. But we'll go from there. As always, if you do enjoy the content, you do enjoy these videos, drop a like, comment, and subscribe. All are free and easy ways to help out the channel. We'll be back with more gameplay. Personal life is just a little bit busy. I'm in the course of trying to buy a new house. So we are going nuts like that. But you can try to put out a video a day on different gameplay, standard and historic. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great one, and stay safe out there.